Hi everyone, thank you for watching this video. Whether you are an experienced programmer or not, this tutorial is for everyone that wishes to learn Python. I'm going to be discussing each of these topics in a very simple way, and I need to let you know that I'm happy to be part of your Python journey. I am a self-taught and I know all those challenges that you might be facing in learning the Python programming language. So I'm going to try my best to ensure that you know everything as much as I could. In this tutorial, we will be learning the basics, because for you to apply Python for data science, you have to have a good understanding of the programming language. Python is very wide, so I'll tell you, learning all before you start your journey might be a bit boring, but what I can assure you is I have looked through, and as much as possible I have filtered it down. So to start, we are going to learn the basics, and gradually you can develop in your own pace. The focus is going to be on topics like variables and type, lists, basic operators. We are going to consider the string formatting, basic string operations. We'll look at conditions, we'll look at loops, functions, and we are going to look into dictionary. I'm sure by the time you have this basic knowledge, it will be easier for you to go into data science. In the last tutorials, we have installed Jupyter Notebook. I won't go through the installation again, but for those of you that are yet to watch the last tutorials, please, I'm going to drop in the comment section the link to that video. If you watch that video, it will help you. It will take you through the process of installing Jupyter Notebook, because for these tutorials, we are going to be programming using Python on Jupyter Notebook. Now that you have the Jupyter Notebook in front of you, let's quickly have an overview. This is how the Jupyter Notebook looks like. If you go to on your machine, if you want to open the Jupyter Notebook, by the time you open the Jupyter, you are going to have an interface like this. If you look at this interface, it has the files, the running, and the cluster. Under the files, it includes all those files that you have on your machine. And in running, it shows all the files that you are currently running, all the Jupyter Notebook files. So if you go to this page, if you want to open a new notebook, all you need to do is you go into new, and when you click on new, you select Python 3. So when you select Python 3, it takes you to this page, and that is how I got to that page. So just before we continue, I want the most important thing that you need to do is you first name the notebook. So for today, I'm going to name the notebook Python for data science. So this notebook is going to be a long notebook, because everything we are going to do on Python is going to be on this notebook, or maybe we can have more notebook. So, and at the end of this lesson, I'm going to give you the link to this notebook so that you can go through it. So now that you have the notebook in front of you, let's test it. Let's print hello world. Yeah, that's the popular let's print the popular hello world, and then you click run, and then that is it. You have your hello world. But before we continue, let me just quickly tell you what we have on the screen. This is the file. You can open a new notebook by clicking by this, and also you can open a new file here. Also, you can make a copy of the notebook, like saving. You can save as. If you want to change the name, you can rename the notebook. you can save and checkpoint, but I want to let you know that automatically the Jupyter Notebook will save your notebook, I think every 120 seconds. So you might not really need to do this often. And then when you have the checkpoints, you can always revert to the last. You can edit your notebook. So if you can cut the keys, you can delete, you can split, you can merge cells, you can merge cell below. If you need to cut the cell, you can just click on this and then you cut the cell, and then you can go back and undo delete cells and it brings back the cells. If you want to create a new cell, you can click on this button and it gives you more cell. If you want to move a cell up, you use this button and it moves the cell up. If you need to move the cell down, just as we showed how to run, you can use this to copy a selected cell. And also, if you look at this button, this is in code, you can select Markdown. Because as you go along writing your code, you need to make comments, because when you comment your code, it helps when somebody else wants to check the code, or maybe you, when you come back to the code after a long period of time. So for example, let's do this. You can, before you write your code, you can make a comment like hello world. So when you do that, and if you want it to be, you can do something like this. Hello world. We are going to be doing a lot of hello world today. Hello world. Hello world. So that depends on how big you want that to be. I'll first put this in Markdown. Item 2. So in that way you can create a bullet points on your Jupyter Notebook. The Jupyter Notebook is quite useful, not only for learning and teaching a programming language such as Python. It is very useful when you're sharing your data. You can turn your notebook into slideshow. You can share it online. You can share it on GitHub. If you can share your notebook, or you can share it as a PDF, as an HTML, in different form. And also, even Google and Azure, they have their own different kinds of notebook. So because it's very important, it's a place that it makes your work easy when you use the notebook. And also Jupyter Notebook has launched another, currently we have the Jupyter Lab. So, and if you like, I encourage you to look into Jupyter Lab. In Jupyter Lab, instead of having each notebook on each browser, you can have all your notebook in Jupyter Lab. You can open up to many notebooks at a time. So it's something you can look into. As we go along in this tutorial, you will continue to familiarize yourself with the Jupyter Notebook. So right now, I want us to continue learning Python. The next thing we'll be talking about variables and type. Python as a programming language is completely object-oriented, and in Python, you don't need to declare variable before using them or declare their type. Every variable in Python is Python already identify all the variable as an object. Right now, I'm going to show you the basic types of variables. I believe as you go along, you'll be familiar with them, but it helps when you know them. Firstly, let's talk about numbers. Python supports two types of numbers. Python supports integers. Python supports two types of numbers. Python supports integers and floats. Integers, they are whole numbers, and floats, they are numbers with decimal. I think, let me just describe it like that. So for example, you can say integer equals to 5. print integer. You see, so if you want to define a floating point number, you may use one of this notation. Let me show you. Float you can say my float equals to 3.0. Print my float, and that is it giving you 3.0. so that is a float. And apart from floats, we also have a string. So for you to write a string, you define a string by either a single quote or a double quote. For example, my string equals to, don't mind me, I'll be using a lot of hello world. Yep. So print my string. And you can as well do something like this. My string equals to, you can use double quotes. So print my string. Personally, I'm going to advise you, when you are writing your string, it is better for you to use double quotes instead of a single quote. The reason why you need to use a double quote is when you use a double quote, it makes it easier for you to include apostrophe, whereas if you use a single quote, it will just terminate that code. So for example, let's see this. Let's say my string equals to today's date is 14/06/2020. Print my string. So, but if you write this same code with a single string, for example, if you use a single quote, print my string. You see, that's a syntax error, and it's because so it's due to this. So but if we'll change, you see, so that is why you need to, it's better for you to use a double string instead of using a single string. This is another example of how you can use the string. If you look at this hello world, with that string you are able to add a space in between the hello and world. So the string is very, very useful. And let's quickly look at this example. In Python, you can assign more than one variable simultaneously, at once. So you can do that like just before I round off this part, I want to give you a bonus, and the bonus is assignment can be done on one or more variables simultaneously. So it's something like this. The lists are very similar to arrays, and lists are very, very important in data science. Lists can contain variable, and they can contain as many variables as you wish. And one thing about the list is list can have it can have data similar. It can have similar data in them, unlike a dictionary. And you can iterate over lists in a simple manner. So I'll just quickly show you how you can build a list. So for you to build a list, you can say you can do something like my list equals to, you create an empty, that's what we call an empty list. To add a particular data to that list, this is what you're going to do. You say my list dot append. You use the append and then what you want to add to the list. So if you check your list again, my list, you see that your list now has 1. So you can add more data to your list by using the append. My list dot append to my list dot append 3, my list dot append 1 again, my list dot append 5. So if you go to your list, my list, so you see that is your list. You can iterate through a list. So for example, you can do something like for x in my list, print x, and it gives you all the values. So, and even you can do something like for x in my list, y equals to x plus 5, and then you print y. So you can do so many things with it. You can use Python for basic mathematical operation like 1 plus 2, 1 plus 4. You see it gives you 5. You can do something like 5 minus 3 gives you 2. So you can as well do something like this. Multiplication 5. This is multiplication 5 times 2, and you can do 5 raised to power 2, something like that. You can write a small program like this. Squared equals to 5 raised to power 2. Cube equals to 3 raised to power 3, and then print squared and print cube. So you can use a string with operator, like this is the plus operator, and then you are using the string. The string, they are very, very useful in many ways. For example, if you want to repeat a lot of sequence, you can use a string to do that. Let's do this example. Let's say this is, you can do something like this. Hello times 5. Print hello underscore 5. So you see, so that is what you can achieve with the string. And you can use the string with the list. In this example, look at even numbers. Even numbers equals to, let's just say 2, 4, 6, 8. And then let's say odd numbers equals to 1, 3, 5, 7. Let's create another column, all numbers equals to odd underscore number plus, that is us using the operator, even underscore numbers. So if you print all numbers, I don't know why this is not. Oh, I can see there's a mistake there. This is supposed to be, there are supposed to be heads there. Yeah. So that is all numbers. So if you look at this, you see even numbers, that list of even numbers, the list of odd numbers, and the list of all numbers. So by the time we add the odd and the even, it gives all the numbers. But one thing I want you to notice here is that this is us. We are also using the string to combine, to add the two together. So if you are watching this, I will encourage you to subscribe. If you subscribe, the notification for all the videos immediately I'm uploading them. If you say print, if you have a list of 1, 2, 3, let's say list equals to 1, 2, 3, you can say print list multiplied by 3. Let's say print list, and you see, so that is another use of the operator. The string is very useful when it comes to formatting. Python uses the style string formatting to create a new formatting string. So the percentage operator is used to format a set of variable enclosed in a tuple, like in a fixed list. And you can, because Python is very interactive, I can let's see how this work. Name equals to, let's say John, that is in this example. So if you say print, you can say print name and it will give you John, but you can make it more interactive. So you can, if we copy this and put and paste here, so instead of just saying the name, we can do something like hello as you can see, with this we are able to make it more interactive. This is another example. I'll just copy and paste this here. So here you can see in this list, so print, if you print this out, a list, because if you remove this from, let's remove this and see the difference. It just gives you the list, but doing the formatting with the string, it helps to make the code more meaningful, because that is one advantage of Python. It is interactive. Python provides a way for us to access all the elements in a list at once. So it provides a concise syntax that we can use to get the sublist, and that is called slicing. So from our list, let's just go ahead to add maybe let's add to our list dot append, let's add 4, and my list dot append 5. Print my list. So now in our list we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we can, through the help of slicing, we can choose, we can get some data from that list. So for example, if we want to get between the data, the element between 2 and 4, we can do something like print bracket my list, and then we do something like so that will give us 3 and 4. So, and then what I want to say is, in Python, our counting starts from 0. So 1 will be 0, 2 will be 1, 3 will be 2. It will be, so it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We can use a negative number, something like this. So in Python, what that does, it removes the last number. So slicing is very important because it makes it easy to get data from the list. Another type of operator is the Boolean operator. So for Boolean, they are either true or false. So Python uses the Boolean variable when Python wants to evaluate condition. So it has true value, the value true or false. That's what it returns in expression. So for example, let's do something like this. Let's say, for example, x equals to 5. So we can Python can check if it's correct by doing something like print bracket x if x is equals to 5. So the answer comes as true because x is actually 5. As if we do something like print x equals to 4, then this come out as false because x is actually a 5. Is actually 5. And then we can also go beyond that. We can do something like 1 minute. If let's check if x is less than 10. Print x less than 10. You see, that comes as true because x less than 10. Let's change this to greater than 10. So that's false because x is not greater than 10. So you can play around with that too. It's interesting. Okay, let's use this to explain. So I think this will help to drive in the point. For example, if you look at this, name equals to John, age is 23. So if the name equals to John and age equals to 23, print your name is John and you are 23 years old. If name is John or name Ricky, print your name is either John or Ricky. So if you run this, you see your name is John and you are 23 years old. Your name is either John or Ricky. Let's go now and change the name to Mike. So if we run this, see, it's not printing because none of the condition is met. Print I am Mike. So you see, so because the first two conditions are not met, nothing is printed. So else print I am Mike. So that is why when you're giving condition, this only give one condition, but because when it is Python is like it's interactive. It's like if this exists, do this. If not, do another one. So that's the way it goes. So if we change this name back to Rick, let's see what happened. You see, your name is either John or Rick. It's not printing this because this is not existing. But if you change this to John or, so you see that it will be different now. That's because we've changed this. So the and or, they are very, very important. So when we are considering Boolean, we talk about in the true false, we also consider the and or operator. Now let's talk about the in operator. For example, let me use this example. Name equals to John, and if name in John if name in John or Rick, print your name is either John or so this is the in operator, if name in. So you use the in operator to check for value in a particular list. In Python programming, the condition is very, very important because that is what determines, that's the way we communicate with Python. So let me just use, let me copy and paste this, and okay. If you look at this, there is a statement. Maybe this statement is false. Another statement is true. So the way Python works is if statement is true, you say do something. Else, if another statement, if it's true, do something. Else, you do another thing. So that is the way it works. There will always be like an option if A, if not A, B, you know, something like that. So let me just use this little code to explain. Let's assume x equals to 8. You can tell Python x equals to 8. You can tell Python if x equals to 8. Notice that in Python, equals to is double equal to. If x equals to 8, we can print x equals 8. So, and then else, that is another thing. If that doesn't work, else print that is not correct. So if you run this code, x equals 8. If you change the value you have here to maybe 10, then if you run, that is not correct. So that is just a simple way that summarizes everything that comes to conditioning. So it's like you telling Python, do this. If you can't do this, do another thing. So that is the way it works, and that is the condition. Let's say x equals to, let's form a list 259 or 257, and let's form another list y equals to 389. So you can use the is operator to do something like print x equals to y, or print x is y. So if you look at this case, because they are not the same list, it tells us it shows false. But let's change it, and let's see. Let's just copy this and paste on another cell, and let's make it the same list. So if we run this again, so you can say print x equals to y, true. Print x is y is false, although x equals to y but x is not y. Let's talk about the not operator. I'll just copy and paste this, copy and paste. So print not false. Okay. So when it's not false is true, and print not false equals to false. Yeah. Not false is true, so not false equals, so it will print out false. So that is the not. But if we change this to true, then if this is true, then it comes out as true. Another thing that is very important in Python, they are called loop. So we have two types of loop. We have the for loop and we have the while loop. We are going to talk about the two, and we are going to show different examples. But to explain loop, let me quickly show you this code. Let's say primes. Let's look at this list. Prime equals to 2, 3, 4. Prime. That's not. Those are 2, 3, 5, and 7. Yeah, they are all prime numbers. So we can say for prime in primes, print prime. Oh, there is an error there. What can that be? Okay, no, this is it. I need to change that to hem or primes. Yeah, okay, that's a spelling error there. So for prime in prime, print prime. So what it does there is this code loop through everything on this list. This is very important because in data science you'll be dealing with so many. You can be dealing with 500,000 data frames, with 500,000, a million or more. So you have to be able to loop through all the files at once. Loops can iterate over a sequence of numbers using the range and the xrange functions. So the difference between the range and the xrange is that the range function returns a new list with numbers that specified range, but the xrange will only return an iterator. And basically the xrange is more efficient. Let's look at how the range work. So you can do something like for x in range of, let me say, range of 9, for example. So print x. So that is it, printing x for x in range of. So, and you can as well do something like, I'll just copy this and paste in another cell. So for x in the range of, let's say, 5 and 9. Print x. So in the range of 5 and 8 is 5, 6, 7. As you can see, it's not printing 8 because it starts from 0. When you use the while loop, that's when you give a particular condition. For example, if you want to use a while loop, you can do something like this. You can say maybe count equals to 0. You can say while count less than 4, print count. So if you look at this code, so it gives a condition when count is less than 4. So this code starts from 0. So for the first one 0, for the first one 1. I want to tell you that this last line is very important, because without this last line, the counts will continue to be 0, because with the last count being +1, it makes this 1, 2, 3, something like that. When using the loop statements, it is important to use break and continue, because when you use the break, it helps to, for example, if you have to loop through some like if you're dealing with databases and you just want to test something, you want to test if a particular code will download, for example. If you just click download, it can start downloading the old data in the database. So you can just put a break statement to tell the Python to only do a particular aspect of the code and then stop. So let me just explain that with example. So if we use the data that we are still using, we can just change this to while true. So we can say instead of the earlier one, that is when it is less than 4, let's just say while true. We want the counts if counts greater than or equals to 5. We are telling Python to break. That means it should stop. Okay, if counts, sorry, I'm supposed to put a semicolon there. So as you can see, instead of if we remove the break, let's comment this out and see what happens. We're just commenting that out. You see, it continues and it will never stop. It will continue till infinity.